Hello, welcome back to the channel of nonsense. Now, building a motorbike that competes with BMW's 1300 GS is a bold move, but there is a huge potential payday if you get it right and steal some of that massive market share. It's a bit like the motorbike equivalent of going to the Oscars after party on the pool. There's a very slim chance of anything happening, but there's a tiny chance you might get a cuddle from Dame Helen Mirren. And a clammy cougar cuddle was exactly what Triumph was hoping for when it released this new Tiger 1200 back in 2021-2022. And they've sold more than double of what they used to sell of this bike. This new generation Tiger 1200 is working for them, but it wasn't perfect for all the riders. Now, they reckon they've sold about 14,000 of these so far, and they've taken on lots of owners' feedback, mostly around handlebar vibes and engine vibes, which is why they updated it in 2024, and that's what we've got here. So I'll go through the changes in a second, but just to give you an overview of the Tiger 1200 range, you've still got two models essentially. You've got the GT and the Rally. The Rally's got longer travel suspension, bigger front wheel, it's more off-roady biased, and then you've got Explore models of both of those, which get the bigger 30-litre tank, as well as some optional extras on this GT model. So on this one, you get the heated seats and the heated handlebars, heated grips. You also get the crash bars as well. This GT Explorer model costs £18,695, and it costs a bit more, 300 quid more, because it's red. There's a black version, which is £200 more than the base white version, and it's 1,400 quid more than the small tank version, if that makes sense. So you can walk yourself up from about 16 grand to one of these. Now, to compare it with the BMW R1300GSA Adventure, the daddy of the class, the one with the ticky engine and the questionable looks, that's £2,000 more like for like. If you want the GS Adventure TE model, which comes with all the optional stuff that this has got standard, £2 grand more than the Triumph. The big usability update for this 2024/25 model is the rubber mounted handlebars. It used to be on the Explorer models anyway, but now it's on all of them, and that has completely cured the really annoying bar buzzers, mirror vibes that I used to hate on the 2021 to 2022 model. Completely ruined the bike for me, and that simple fix is now across the range and it works. Triumph's also been through the engine. They've given it 9.1% more inertia. They've reworked the crankshaft, they've reworked the balancer shaft and the alternator rotors to just kind of get rid of some of the vibes that go through your bum and through your feet as well. Another new upgrade is the active preload control, so you can lower the bike when you come to a stop, but that was delivered free as a software upgrade for owners of the pre-facelift bike anyway, I think. That active preload control works by holding the home button on the right-hand switchgear, and then it whirs away and drops the ride height by 20 mil. Oh, it's going down. It's going down. It's like the Oscars party again. There we go. And then it settles, and then it will go back up automatically when you get over 51 miles an hour, or until you hold the button again. I'm a bit low to do it too much in case I flatten the battery. But there we go, the bike goes up and down. The standard seat height on this is now 850 millimeters, although you can raise the seat by 20 mil using a thing under the seat as well. And there's obviously a lower heated seat in the options catalogue. And there aren't that many options on this, but yeah, if you are shorter in the leg, it is quite approachable and adjustable for your height, but it's 260 odd kilos and it's all up high. So it is pretty top heavy, which is a little bit of a shame. The riding position has actually changed slightly for this update. On the GT model, they've lifted the foot pegs up slightly and moved them in slightly to increase ground clearance, so you're not decking out your pegs in the spirited riding that you can do on this bike down in Spain. So yeah, they have slightly tweaked it, but you know, it's narrow between your legs despite having all this out here. This bit here, the gusset, is nice and manageable, but I've tried to push this backwards just in a muddy National Trust car park and I nearly fell over because it is a weighty boy with a full tank. Now, other bits and pieces, you've got Brembo stylemas, you've got Showa semi-active suspension. The 1160cc triple has had some tweaks, but it's still 150 horsepower and 130 newton meters of torque, and it still has a T-plane crank, and it still sounds and feels like a V4. It's Triumph's best sounding engine, I reckon. But anyway, I'll show you the tech very quickly, and then I just want to ride the thing, if you will excuse me. Oh yes, boring bits I forgot to mention. 10,000 mile service interval or 1 year, whichever comes soonest, and it's shaft drive, as you'd expect. Maybe you wouldn't expect. Multistrada V4, isn't it? This is the switchgear on the Tiger 1200, and it is busier than a Berlin nightclub. You press this, it turns on. It's keyless, obviously, but then look at this. It does take forever to turn on. You can start the bike while it's doing this, but come on, Triumph, new screen, new processor time, because also when you use the little arrow switch there to change menus, oh, you get this jerky, slow animation. It's time to upgrade your PC. You can't run Crisis anymore, Triumph. But anyway, on here you can adjust things like the damping on the fly, and you can also go through your trips and check out your rider aids and all the different rider modes and all that stuff. And then, there's a lot, and it is easy to use once you get used to it. There's a mode button there to cycle through the various rider modes. You've got usual Rain Rider Sport and customizable ones. Heated seat, which is standard. Heated grips, which is standard on the Explorer model. I forgot to mention, on the Explorer models, on the Rally and the GT, you get the rear radar, and that's a Continental radar, I believe, and that is for the blind spot monitoring. There's no radar in the front, so you don't get radar cruise, just regular cruise, but I know lots of people won't really mind that. But yeah, bit slow, bit annoying, but hey, at least the fuel cap is keyless as well. Let's ride it. Right, riding the Tiger 1200. While we're just getting out to our twisty roads, let me talk firstly actually about the quick shifter blipper, because it is so smooth. It is one of the best I've used, to be honest, and Triumph has made a bit of a song and dance about how they've changed the clutch on this update to snick into first gear from neutral nice and smoothly, and it certainly does. Look, blipping down from second into first even without the clutch is buttery smooth. It's really satisfying, and it's consistent as well. It's always really nice. Look, quick shift up from first to second. Yeah, it's not quite as smooth, but it's not jerky. And actually I was really low in the revs. That was only about 3,000 RPM, 4,000 RPM. So yeah, that's a really good quality of life thing if you're doing lots of normal riding, not always shifting at the red line. This bike works really well. Now, what hasn't been quite so impressive on the Tiger 12 is actually the fuel efficiency. I've been getting about 41, which isn't really far off what the much maligned Multistrada V4 gets. Obviously I've got a 30 litre tank, but that's probably going to get me 250 miles rather than the Magic 300. But you know, if you're like me, your prostate says you've got to stop earlier than that on a tour anyway. So yes, but otherwise, in terms of riding position, this is armchair comfortable. The new seat, which is redesigned for this year as well, that doesn't slide you forward towards the tank as much as it used to. It's nice and flat. It's just all day comfortable, like the GS Adventure. Yeah, it's got loads of mid-range grunt from like 3,000 RPM. You just go, and it makes a great noise, and it forces your stomach contents back towards your tailbone, and off you go. You can really feel the rear tyre digging in. So, although this kind of T-plane crank is ostensibly been designed for off-road grip on the 900 Triumphs, it actually just works really well on this, on the road, with the capacity of that big 1160cc triple. It does a good impression of a GS pulling from 0 RPM really hard. It's not quite as good, but it's not far off, I'll tell you that. Other things, manually adjustable screen. I talked about that on my first ride, but if you're 6'3" like me, when it's up, it actually does a really good job of getting the wind over your head. It's not quiet, but it's not going like this and putting your head in a tumble dryer. Annoyingly, like other Triumphs, you have to accept the riding mode. You have to press the mode button and then the tick, then close the throttle, then cancel your indicator. I've done all this at the wrong point, but it's so quick. It is so quick. And it's really revvy as well. Like, there is actually virtue in revving it past 9,000 RPM. To the 9,500 RPM red line, because it absolutely, as the Americans would say, hauls arseholes. While I'm trundling along, speaking of rider modes, it is nice that you can always separate your damping choice on the suspension from your throttle mode and the riding mode. So I'm in sport mode, but I can go back in and make the suspension nice and soft. So if you like the sharp throttle connection, but not having your bum pounded, then you can do so. Being a Triumph though, you can't really turn the anti-wheelie off without turning everything off, but it's an adventure bike, grow up, or buy KTM. Who's doing that? Apologies if I still sound incredibly ill. I am. Right, go on Hyundai i10, you're going to let me just deploy some horsepower. Come on. Yeah, that's well done. Right, second gear. Yes, it's fast. It sounds absolutely brilliant. But anyway, there you go. Top gear, 70 miles an hour, doing just over 4,000 RPM. And I can click the cruise control on like that. It's not radar cruise, but it works very easily. And then to turn it off, obviously you can just push the throttle away from you, like on most bikes, or touch the brake, or turn it off over here. Screen down. Screen up. It's actually quite a big difference. I don't know if that comes across on the GoPro. With the sun shining, and with this bike underneath me, and that engine, and the handling as well, which is typical Triumph, it's very good. It feels very assured when you're leant over. I do just want to go touring on this. This would be such a good European road trip mile muncher that you can load up a bit with luggage and just yeah, do big trips in comfort. This, like all the big adventure bikes, no one's really taking them off-road, so I don't know why you would buy the rally version of this. Just get the GT version with all the toys on it. Get the GT Explorer, get your 30-litre tank, your heated seat, your heated grips. I wouldn't bother with the rally version. It makes it really tall. You get a 21-inch front wheel, so although it won't feel bad, it won't handle quite as nicely as this. Get this. Get the GT version. Unless you're actually going to take a 266 kilo bike off-road, in which case, yeah, go on, get the rally, but also film it for me when you do that. I love how the engine just has the guts to pull you in 5th gear even from 40 miles an hour, making a kind of offbeat, almost single cylinder noise. That's interesting. I was reading a bit about how they balanced this engine for this update from Steve Sargent, the engineering man at Triumph, and he said trying to balance a cross-plane triple is essentially like trying to balance a 270-degree parallel twin and a single cylinder at the same time. It's quite hard. So I think they ended up using like reverse rotating balancer shafts, but it hasn't got the triple whine that you used to get from I think it was those gear-driven balancer shafts that they use in the other triples. But yeah, it's got a totally different vibe. Nod, nod, nod. Now, as you come into a 40 limit, one thing that has slightly annoyed me about this bike, and it's exacerbated in sport mode, but it is there in normal mode as well, it's just like 30 miles an hour on off the throttle. It can be a bit shunty, a bit jerky, so just be aware of that. It's just the small throttle openings. It's a little bit lurchy. It is worse than sport mode, but it is there in normal mode as well, so it's just something to be aware of. But obviously you can feather the clutch and you do get used to it, and actually sport mode in general is a very sharp throttle map to make it more exciting. Anyway, let's get up to 50 and do a twisty road. Look at this shit tarmac, it's like the moon. I'm in sport mode, second stiffest suspension setting as well, and you don't get offset by any bumps in the road in the middle of the corner on this. It deals with bumps really well. You can tell it's been set up on British roads, to be honest. The only thing I would say is if you are coming from a GS, or if you're comparing this to a GS, even in the stiffest damping mode, if you grab a hand for the front brake, it dives quite a lot. There's a lot of pitch when you accelerate as well. Kind of doesn't squat as much as it pitches on the brakes, but you don't get that on a GS, so you do end up looking at the floor when you anchor up, but hasn't got a funny front end, so it's going to do that, isn't it? Oh, the acceleration grunt is something else. That made my eyes go a bit funny. Right, scabby gravelly corner. Yeah. It's just, it flows down a road. You can just leave it in a high gear. It doesn't take any muscling into the corner. You can adjust your line mid-corner nicely. And even in sport mode, it keeps the wheel firmly planted on the ground when you're pinning it. I think to get any fun wheelies out of this, you'd have to find a crest. Yay! But even then it puts it down quite quickly, or I'll turn traction control off. But anyway, is that relevant for an adventure bike review? I don't know. Just before I head back for a conclusion, a quick word on the damping. Obviously you've got this screen where you can adjust it between sport, normal, comfort, and it's about 9 settings for it. It does make a difference, but it's not the world's biggest difference, I would say. Yeah, in sport it does get on your nerves a little bit on a bumpy British road, and in comfort it is appreciably softer, but it's still not ironing out every bump. So I don't think it rides as well as the GSA in its comfort mode, to be honest. It's not awful, it's just a little bit, I don't know, a bit thuddy through your butt at times, is what I'd say. If you couldn't tell, I'm really impressed by this bike now. Triumph's made a load of tweaks to the Tiger 1200 that have made it a real competitor for the GS Adventure. But there are quite a few things where it can't touch the BMW. Things such as the screen, that is just way better on the BMW. It's faster, it's snappier, it's more legible, and it just feels more modern. The weight distribution as well on the GS is much friendlier. It is heavy still, it's about 280 when you load that up with options, but it's all low down, whereas this is all up high. So the BMW is actually less likely to catch you out if you stop on an awkward off-camber bit of road and you're slightly short in the leg. But otherwise, the improvements to this take it very close to the top of the class. That engine sounds phenomenal, way better than the new GS. It's got the punch almost of the new GS, not quite there on the torque instant shove, but it is very fast. Now this doesn't quite have the same sense of world dominating weather protection and king of the road-ness that the GS Adventure does. On that you feel like you could hop off the Eurotunnel in Calais and get to Nice in about half an hour without any aches or pains. This is almost there, but it's not quite the same. But yeah, a very, very good big adventure bike. It's up against things like Multistrada V4, which with the radars and stuff is £22,500, so £4,000 more than this. And as I said, the GS, like for like, is £2,000 more than this. So Triumph really is competing on value here and giving you everything that you really need as standard, such as the heated seat, grips and all the rest of it. Now, if you want to put 3-box luggage on it, that's quite expensive. I think it's about £2,000 or thereabouts. But obviously there are aftermarket options which might come in a bit cheaper. But yes, well done Triumph. You've made an adventure bike to be proud of. And it sounds cracking, right? I'm going to ride it some more and get rid of this cold. Thank you for watching. If you've liked this, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, go down to the comments and tell me whether you would buy this over a GS Adventure and why. Or why not.